Dear students, welcome to this session. In this session, we are going to talk about the types of DC motor. The types of DC motors are done based on the type of excitation that is given to the DC motor. So, what is the meaning of excitation? The way the field system. So, we have the field system. The way the field system is excited or is given with a supply that is called as a excitation. Based on the kind of the excitation, motors are classified into different types of DC motors. The first one is the series wound motor. In case of a series wound motor, the field winding will be in a series with the armature winding. So this is the representation of the armature winding, and we have the brush. RA is the representation of the resistance of the armature winding. Then in series with this armature winding, we have the field winding which has a resistance of RSC, and this is connected to the external DC supply. When supply is given, what happens is the whatever the current flows in the field winding, it will be exactly same as the armature winding. That is why we call it as a series, where the field is in series with the armature winding. Next, shunt wound motor. In case of a shunt wound motor, the field winding, okay, this is the field winding, is connected in parallel to the armature winding. So you can see this particular field winding is connected across the armature. So this is the armature, this is the representation of the armature, and this field winding is connected in parallel or across the armature winding, and this combination is connected across the external DC supply. In this case, what happens when supply is given, DC supply is given, whatever the load current that flows in is divided into two parts. One path is through the armature, that is the IA, armature current, and another part of the current will flow through the field winding. So here IL is equal to IA plus ISH. If we apply the KCL at this node, we get incoming current IL is equal to outgoing currents, sum of outgoing currents IA plus ISH. So here we can see, in case of a series wound motor, both the field current as well as the armature currents were exactly the same. If the field current was represented as ISC, ISC is equal to IA, that is armature current. Here they are not equal. The next one is, we can have a combination of a series and shunt. Okay, those kind of motors are called as a compound wound motor. There are two types of compound wound motor. First one is the short shunt motor, and the second one is the long shunt motor. In case of the short shunt motor, you can see here the field winding is split into two parts, okay, and one part is connected in parallel with the armature winding. You can see this part, this is connected in parallel with the armature winding, and this combination is connected in series with the another part of the winding. So that is how we have a combination of parallel as well as series, and this whole combination is connected across the DC supply. And when the current flows, the current IL, load current, it will flow through, complete load current will flow through this part of the winding. When it comes to this node, it will get divided into two parts. One is the armature current IA, and a part of the field winding which is in parallel with the armature winding, that is ISH. The next one is the long shunt motor. In case of a long shunt motor, a part of a field winding is connected in series with the armature winding, and this combination is connected in parallel with the field winding. So here you can see, and this combination is connected across the DC supply. When DC supply is given, the load current flows in, and now at this particular node, current will get divided into two parts. In this path it is the ISH, and in this path it is ISC equals to IA, because both are in series. The armature current and the series current that is flowing through this winding would be same. Next we will see the characteristics of the DC motor. DC motor characteristics. So we have for each of these series motor, shunt motor, and the compound motors, we will study the characteristics. And before studying the characteristics, we have a you can see here we are plotting the torque against armature current in one characteristics, speed against armature current, and speed against the armature torque. So first we will derive the armature torque equation, and then we will go back to the characteristic of a DC motor. So equation for armature torque of a DC motor. So this is the representation of the armature, and this is a one conductor that is on the outer slot, that is the armature conductor, and this is the shaft center point. From the center point, the gross radius of this particular armature is lowercase letter r, and when a power supply is given to the motor, the force that is experienced by the conductor is represented by capital F. And how do we find the torque? We know the torque equation. Torque is equal to force into radius. So we get the torque is equal to F into R. Now what is the R? It is the average radius of the armature. So we have the armature average radius is the R, is represented as R, and L is the length of the conductor. So we have this conductor, the length of that conductor is L, and Z represents the total number of conductors that are present on the armature winding, and capital A represents the number of parallel paths. And we know number of parallel paths depends on the what type of winding we have, whether lap winding or wave winding. In case of a lap winding, A is equal to P, and in case of a wave winding, A is equal to 2. And you can see lowercase I. What is lowercase I? Is the current in each conductor. We know all these Z conductors, they are divided into the number of parallel paths. So if I say armature current IA, capital IA, means that is the total current that is carried by all the conductors together, because these conductors will be they will be placed in the parallel paths. For example, there are 1000 conductors and it is wave wound, then we will have 2 parallel paths, and each path will be having 500 conductors. So the current that is passing through each conductor would be total armature current divided by number of parallel paths. If there are 2 paths, IA divided by 2. If there are, like it's a lap winding, how many paths would be there? P. P, that is the number of poles. Armature current would be divided by the number of parallel paths, that is P. That is the lowercase I is the current in each conductor. B is the average flux density represented in Weber per meter square, and phi is the flux per pole in Weber. P, number of pole. Now for each conductor, how much force will be exerted on each conductor, that is given by the equation F is equal to B into I into L, where B is the flux density, I is the current that is flowing in each conductor, L is the length of that particular conductor. So this is this much force is acting upon each conductor. Now how much is the torque developed by one conductor? The torque developed by one conductor would be F into radius, average radius of the armature. Therefore total armature torque, this is F into R. This particular thing is this is the torque created by one conductor. If we have Z number of conductors, what would be the total armature torque? TA is equal to Z into F into R. Now if we replace the value of the force, that is F is equal to BIL, we get TA is equal to ZBIL into R, and the torque is represented in Newton meter. Now we know that the lowercase I, that is the current in each conductor, that is given by total armature current divided by number of parallel paths. This is what we are noted down here before. So I is equal to capital IA divided by A, and B, how it is represented in terms of a flux. B is equal to flux per area, unit area, phi by A, where A is the cross sectional area of the pole, and what would be the area of the pole? It would be 2 pi RL divided by P. So this is per pole. We have to calculate for per pole. R is the average radius, 2 pi R, it gives the outer circumference of the armature, and into L will give the total surface area, and we are dividing that by total number of poles. So we get the area per pole. So this is A is cross sectional area per pole. That is how we calculate B is equal to phi by A, and A is 2 pi RL divided by capital P. Now we are going to replace all these values in this equation. We get it as TA, armature torque, is equal to Z into phi by A, that is B, lowercase I, that is capital IA, armature current divided by number of parallel paths, L into R. And now we are going to replace this lowercase a. What is lowercase a? Cross sectional area per pole, which is represented as 2 pi RL divided by P. When you represent that a value, so you can see 2 pi RL divided by P, the R into L, we have L into R, that will get cancelled. The equation will come as TA is equal to Z phi IA into P divided by 2 pi A, or it can be represented as TA is equal to 0.159 Z phi IA into P divided by A Newton meter. So now you have the final equation. In this equation, TA represents the armature torque, Z represents the total number of conductors, phi is the flux per pole, IA is the armature current, capital P is number of poles, capital A is number of parallel paths. Now if you see for a given DC motor, the number of conductors would remain the same, it will not change, and number of poles would remain the same, and number of parallel paths, because it is decided on the winding, this is will also remain same. So and all these are constants for a particular DC motor. So we can write TA is directly proportional to flux and IA. So you can see here the armature torque is directly proportional to flux into IA. Now we just saw the series motor and the shunt motor. In case of the shunt motor, what happens is the current will get divided into two parts, one through the armature and one through the field. Relatively, that particular current will remain same irrespective of the load. The flux that is created by the shunt motor is almost same. So the flux is constant for the shunt motor. So this phi becomes constant. So torque in case of a shunt motor is directly proportional to IA. We need to remember this, so it will help in understanding the characteristic of a DC shunt motor. In case of a shunt motor, the armature torque is directly proportional to the armature current. Means as the load increases, armature current increases, and linearly the torque will also increase along with the armature current. But in case of a series motor, we have seen what is the current that is flowing through the field winding. It is the same armature current that will flow, okay, because armature winding and the field winding, they are in series. So the armature current that is flowing in the armature winding will also flow through the the field winding in case of a series motor. So the flux in case of the series motor is directly proportional to armature current. More the armature current, more the flux. Therefore, the armature torque in case of a series motor is directly proportional to phi into Ia, but phi is directly proportional to Ia. That therefore, TA is directly proportional to square of the armature current. So now you can see, with a little increase in the armature current, the torque will increase square the armature current times. So here you can see the rapid increase in the torque with a little increase in the armature current. Okay, so this is the one form of the equation. The same equation can be represented in a alternate way. Alternately, TA can be, we know the back EMF is given by EB is equal to P phi Zn divided by 60A, or we can say P phi Z. From this equation, just we rearrange, P phi Z divided by A is equal to 60 EB divided by N. And if we substitute this value, so where we have P phi Z divided by A, okay, if we substitute that with this value, what we get is TA is equal to 0.159 into 60 EB divided by N into Ia. So we get the torque equation as TA is equal to 9.55 EB, that is back EMF, into Ia divided by N Newton meter. So which equation to be used in trying to solve the problem? It depends on what are the given parameters. If given parameter suits this equation, then you can use this. If the values that are given are in terms of the back EMF and armature current and the speed, we can use this particular equation. Now we will go back to the characteristic. Before going there, just remember, in case of a shunt motor, the torque is directly proportional to armature current Ia. In case of a series motor, the torque, armature torque, is directly proportional to the Ia square. Okay, first we will see the series motor. This is the plot of armature torque versus the armature current, and we know the relation, the torque in case of a series motor is directly proportional to Ia square. So with a little increase, the torque will increase as a square of the armature current. So you will see the curve like this, and this particular characteristic is also called as a electric characteristic. And next one is the speed versus the armature current, and as the armature current increases, okay, the speed decreases, which is evident from here. As armature current increases, the torque increases. Okay, and if you see the third, as the torque increases, the speed will decrease. So whenever there is a lower amount of torque, the speed would be higher. As the torque increases, when the torque increases, as the armature current increases or the load increases, then the torque will increase and the speed will decrease in case of a series motor. Next one, in case of a shunt motor, what is the relation between the torque and the armature current? The armature current, the torque is directly proportional to the Ia, means it is a linear relationship. T is equal to y is equal to mx form. This is in the y is equal to mx form. We will find the torque will linearly increase as the armature current increases. And in case of a shunt motor, the series motor is a variable speed and shunt motor is a constant speed, irrespective of the, as the load increases on the armature, as armature current increases, the speed will remain almost same, so almost constant. So you can call this as a shunt motor as a a constant speed motor. Similarly, you can see here, as the torque increases, relatively the speed will be almost the same. And the compound generator, so in case of a compound generator, the compound generator, whether it's a series short shunt or long shunt, it is combination of a series and a shunt. So you can see here, this is torque versus armature current, and this is the characteristics of a series, that is TA is proportional to Ia square, and this is the characteristic of a shunt a shunt motor. Therefore, this torque is TA is proportional to Ia, and compound generator will have a characteristic in between these two characteristics. Similarly, the speed also, in case of a shunt generator, shunt motor, the speed is almost constant. In case of a series motor, as armature current increases, the speed will reduce, and the compound generator will compound motor will have a characteristic in between those two. And similarly for the speed versus the torque, here also you can see the compound motor characteristic is in between the shunt and the series motor. Okay, so applications of a DC motor. So where is the how we these motors are applied in the industry. So series motor, it is a variable speed motor. When speed is less, the torque is high, and vice versa. It is used where we need a very high starting torque. Wherever there is a requirement of a very high starting torque, series motors are used. Example is elevators. So during start, we need a huge torque, and once it starts moving, the amount of torque required will reduce. In such application, we can use the series motor. Similarly, electric train and cranes, where the starting torque is higher. And shunt motors are used where we have a constant speed application. So it is a constant speed motor, hence it is used where constant speed is required. And where we require the constant speed, in applications like a lathe machine. In case of a lathe machine, we need to have a constant speed for the job. And spinning machine, Xerox machine, printer, textile mills, these are the different example where we require a constant speed, and we can use the shunt motors. Compound motors are rarely used because of their poor torque characteristics. In some industrial applications, such as press, reciprocating machine, shears, etc., compound motors are used.